Welcome back to Plan B Terraform. I'm having so much fun, and so far it's been pretty similar to what we had when the early access started, but now we're gonna start getting into things that are pretty new actually. I have seen some videos, I've played it a bit, so I know there is a lot of new things coming. I hope you're excited. Now at the end of the last episode we unlocked the first trees, but actually I just kept the game going just a bit more and we have finished level 14 already. It was getting 10,000 of population. We basically moved from like 8,000 to 10,000. It was pretty quick, as I said. And so we have unlocked the next level, which is now tempered steel. It's gonna take steel plus nitrogen to make tempered steel. And then we're gonna take tempered steel plus carbon nanotube to make nano composite. And the interesting thing is the Earth Organization president said they like the nanotubes, this seems very promising. So our council elder is telling us, be careful, regional tension on Earth are getting worse. We fear they will try to involve us. Spoiler alert, basically at some point they're going to ask us those nano composites. We're gonna need to make them. But first, as I said, there is also the trees, right? We have started to unlock the green tree greenhouse, the pine tree and the eucalyptus. So we obviously need to first make tree greenhouses. So I started that actually just there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here it is. I had already, the polymer over here. We are getting steel bars from the recycling center. So I just put those two here, tree greenhouses, to start making some of that. We will then be able to use those tree greenhouses, and I have also already started that in the last couple of minutes over here. I've added 2 of these trees. So it is going to require, oh no, I made a mistake, sorry, my bad. I thought it was the same as these farms. So these farms, they need various seeds, they need water, and they need compost, right? Here we need also various seeds and water, but then we need carbon. Okay, so it is not the compost, it is just carbon. So managing it, it's actually not that hard. We can just have one here of carbon, because remember the carbon is just a couple of atmospheric guys there, and that should be enough. Let's see it in action. Restarting. Come on, taking a second. Yeah, I'm in low speed, so accelerate the speed a bit. You see my population, by the way, still increasing. But yeah, here it is. We started to bring some carbons here, and so I should see some trees. The good thing with trees is you don't need to plant that many, because as long as you are in the growth temperature band, they are going to grow on their own. They're going to basically, if I put one over here, it's going to then start expanding. But we need 2 things. One is we need to make sure that it can grow, and we need to also put it into a damp, saturated soil. And I don't have neither here, right? Like this is not soil that is damp and saturated, and also the growth temperature for this guy is -5 degrees. We're at -17.5. We stopped the last episode at 18 something, -18. I have restarted my 2 production of gases. Here we have a couple, and then the other one was over here. I had a couple more there. So I think, the pressure continues to increase a bit more now, and therefore the temperature hopefully will get there. I think we're gonna try to probably reach 0 or something like this. It makes it a bit more normal in my opinion. We will though have more and more water, right? The more the temperature increases, the more water. So in particular here, we know this is gonna be an ocean. If you press Alt, you can see those triangles here. This is definitely at some point gonna be an ocean. So all of this is gonna be in trouble at some point. Similarly there, you can see that all of this will probably be into an ocean. So what I've done just now, like a minute ago, is I've put a lot of extractors on these to start extracting all of this. Problem is I'm really not doing anything right now with those concretes. So we're gonna need more storages to basically take this out. Here I did kind of almost the next step, which is I'm not transforming this sulfur into concrete. I'm going to transport the sulfur directly into this place. This is the beginning of my production hub. In this production hub, we're gonna bring all of the raw resources. Think about this sulfur over here, think about this iron. We're gonna bring it there, and we're gonna start transforming all of this and then creating, everything into this place there. I've chosen this place because it's, oh no, actually it's a bit too close to the ocean here. But at least in the north there's no oceans. So I guess this is gonna be the bottom of of our production hub, and we're gonna start going up and up. So yeah, let me start working a bit on this. Let's start, actually no, we can place some trees, but they're not gonna grow yet. So maybe not. Let's wait a bit more. I see we should probably also start this production here of tempered steel and nano composite, so let me work on that. A few minutes later, my new production hub is growing. You can see on top of the sulfur to concrete, we have also over here the iron ore to steel bar, and we're sending those steel bars over here with some nitrogen, transform into tempered steel, and this tempered steel is also added to carbon nanotubes that comes from my city, and with this we made our first nano composite. So really happy we have our first new nano composite, which is gonna be important because this is what New Paris actually needs to grow. So if you look over here, we don't need actually anymore this thing here, the reinforced concrete. We still need the high-tech parts, but we also need the nano composite, and we're gonna need 203 if we want this thing to grow. So that's gonna be a lot. Yagoon has been also growing. I've done over here the plastic waste disposal, and I think we just reached 3,000, and with this 3,000 we have now the food need that has arrived. So right now basically both of my cities are sort of stuck. Either I need to give food to New Yangon to grow it, or I need to give the nanotubes to New Paris. I think we're gonna go with the food, because if you look at the food, which I always forget here, look at the food, I have tons of food. So that's why I think we're gonna give some food to New Yangon. But before, let me show you that there's also a warning over here, or to be precise, 36 warning. Why? Because this factory is basically underwater. I have, put a couple of these dam elements to slow down the water advance, but realistically, I had, an opening over here, so it is not going to work. It is also starting to go on the side there, even if I've put some of those dam pumps. So actually, let me show you. So a dam pump has you can see the arrow, this is kind of the flow of water. So if I put it this side, the water is going to flow from here to there. But this is not perfect again, right? If the water will need to go somewhere, so it will basically start flowing on this side or on that side. So yeah, even on this side, we're starting to get a bit into water, but mostly on this side. So I can do two things. One is I can actually now delete this. Let's delete this whole piece there. I need to take out, sorry, the trucks. Or trains to be precise. We're going to delete these two, delete that. But then what I can try is to do something like this. Okay. And we're going to take this out. Actually, even these ones, not very important. And I'm going to try to put a lot of pumps and see if we can save. By the way, you can press R to rotate the pumps. So we can see if we can try to save this production area or not. Okay. So probably need to expand here also. But let's see how that's gonna go. So here it is. We're starting to take water, great. So there's less and less water on this side. It may not always work. Actually, you can see here this is for now not really working, because this is also a river. This is basically a river that is starting there. If we look here, you can see this is a pretty big, like the size of the arrow, right, is pretty deep. So it's a river that's starting here. So there's basically no way, I think, to save this completely, but we can save it a bit. we can continue, you know, to get some of these and potentially get some of these reserves too in the future. Because right now what I'm doing is I'm sending, where are my trains? I guess they're all full. Yeah, they're all full waiting here. But anyway, so yeah, we have to be more and more careful with water, and we're going to try to do one on this side too. Again, using a couple of these pumps. To protect these guys. Here I'm just making some reserves basically of concrete. So anyway, this is again just kind of slowing down the growth of this river because my temperature is slowly but surely increasing. As I said, we're trying to get at least right now to -5 so we can grow some trees, right? So there is no way, like this whole thing here is gonna be underwater. This is gonna be an ocean here. So New Paris is probably gonna be in trouble, but actually New Yangon over here should be fine. I don't see, you know, there's gonna be some rivers potentially, but I haven't seen any big ocean type thing here. So this one is gonna be a big one. Damn. Just, of course, just inside the city. Why? Why? Okay. But anyway, let's grow a bit Yangon as I said. So we're gonna start by putting here. The line is there, not far. Okay, perfect, straight. So this is gonna be food, and we need to put, of course, some supply centers. So let's go, and we need to transport some food. So we're gonna take a couple of trains. Up, it's not that far to be honest. Up, and well, let's put 10 maybe, just to go crazy. So this is going to continue increasing the population of Yangon. Actually, it could go pretty far. It may be enough for us to get to 20. Because how many people we have here? We have 10,000. Oh wait, my supply is going down? What's going on? Supply and... No, so this one is not changing. The problem is that one. Oh, metal is full. Okay, so we're full on steel bars. I'm sending the steel bars there, but somehow this is not working well. Okay, so what I can do is put one assembly over here, do some extractors. I'd love to actually do more depot Mark II because I have little, but let's do some extractors. That should help with this whole thing. Okay, so this is the challenge of recycling, right? Where if you really want to be safe, you should just use all of the recycling resource to do things like extractors, but it feels like a bit of a waste, to be honest. A few minutes have passed and we still haven't reached 20,000. We're closer, but we haven't reached it, and to be honest, I don't think we will unless I make major changes, because we now have a lot of water. It's almost on purpose, right? As I said, I'm trying to get our temperature a bit closer, at least to the -5, so that trees can start growing, but maybe even to 0 to make it kind of a clean start for the planet. We are at 0 degrees. We do have a problem for this, which is if you look over here, for example, there's no more fluorite, so this has stopped. And as I said, we have a big problem that there's more and more water. You can see a big ocean on this side and a big ocean here, plus a small one starting there with quite a few rivers here too. So in particular, what has really stopped is if you look here at, you know, those trains, they are now underwater. Here, you know, the train is completely underwater. So that doesn't work, right? That's a problem. We have also places where, you know, despite trying to have some of these, it's just the water is coming there. I mean, look at this one. It's now fully underwater. So we're gonna need to stop. I mean, actually, there is still a lot of resources, but yeah, we're gonna need to delete all of this. We will need to also delete some of the other ones, or at least protect them better, I don't know. And the key thing, as I said, is for me trying to continue making, if possible, some gases, but look at this. This is also basically empty, so that's the problem. So let me restart some of those gases, and I'll see you in a minute. And it is a couple of minutes later, and as you can see, our temperature has definitely been re-increasing up to the point where our average temperature is now above 0, 1.7 degrees to be precise. Again, this is the average temperature, so there are places on Earth where, or on this planet, where it's gonna be above this average, and a couple of places, you know, near the poles, etc., where it's gonna be lower. But with this, we are starting to have oxygen, and I think soon we're gonna be able to also stop the two gas, right, greenhouse gases. I think we're good now in this temperature. We have trees that are growing, so I've placed both of these, right? And see, this is the eucalyptus. It does say again gross temperature is 5, but basically with my average temperature being 1.7, you can see that here this is probably at 5 because it is growing. And then on the other side I have put the pine trees, and this one definitely growing, as you can see, creating both trees as well as creating, you know, some grass. So that's expanding. The oceans too, right? We have now a huge ocean. There is one here that also finishes on this side, and we have one in the north there, very close to this city here. And then we have this huge one, definitely trying to go to Paris, and also actually almost getting to New Yangon. So we have a lot of water on this planet. There's also small other pockets, like, you know, if you look at these craters, usually there's always kind of water in them, but that doesn't really matter. So yes, and this is basically clouds, right? So with those oceans, we've lost some resources for sure, like a lot of resources here. I've protected some, even if, you know, at this point this guy is completely surrounded by water, so I don't know what's the point of protecting it. I think we're gonna have to kill it. Many are underwater, as I said, but we've also protected some, like this one again, pretty nicely protected thanks to a couple of pumps. Here I have not protected it, so we have a river. This was the river I mentioned before. We know there's gonna be a river here, so basically this New Yangon will need to expand more on this side, which is interesting because I guess maybe, yes, this is a place where we know we're gonna have a big train. Hopefully these rivers are not gonna be too deep, because when they're like this, it's fine. You can have, you know, rails on top, but when it's like this, you can't have rails on top. This is too deep. So yeah, we're gonna do that. You know, I think this is one path, and then probably the other path is gonna be over here. Then I need to decide a place to put all of my productions. I think right now we have it over here, but this is quite a lot of water over there. So I'm wondering if maybe we're gonna move it somewhere else. But maybe it's a good place because it's between those two cities. And then last but not least, we're probably gonna need also at some point a space for my farms. So that's the other thing. Now, if we remember, we need to get to 20,000 people. We are actually not that far. We are 17,000. New Yangon is at 7,000 because it's not always getting food. And then Paris, New Paris, has also not really been growing in the last times because it's been a bit cut off now. As you can see, it's a bit cut off from all of the productions that were in the south, but it's still surviving also at around 10,000 people. So in our next episode, now that we have, you know, basically we have oceans, we have trees, it's gonna be a good time to start making kind of my end game layout and plan for the end of the game. So that's what we're gonna do in our next episode. Thank you for watching, smash like button, and I hope to see you next time.